All right, it's 10:01. I'm going to call the meeting to order. The Public Safety Civil Service Commission. This is June 20th of 2024, and it's 10:01. The first item, I'm going to read the land acknowledgement. The Public Safety Civil Service Commission acknowledges that we are on the ancestral lands and waters of the Coast Salish and Duwamish people and their descendants. We honor with gratitude the land and the people past and present. The next item is the attendee introductions. So let's see, Andrea, why don't we start with you?
Thank you, Commissioner Green. I'm Andrea Shealy. I'm the Executive Director of the Public Safety Civil Service Commission. Teresa.
I'm Teresa Jacobs. I'm the Executive Assistant of the Public Safety Civil Service Commission.
Tom Applegate, Public Safety Civil Service Commissioner.
Richard Green, Public Safety Civil Service Commissioner.
Stacy Knoll, Commissioner.
Joe Levan, Assistant City Attorney, Legal Counsel for the Commission.
Ann Bold, City Attorney's Office, also counsel to the Commission.
Sarah Butler, Operations and Policy Advisor, Civ Department.
Great.
We have Dr. Carl Swander here as a guest presenter today.
Is there anyone appearing virtually who would like to introduce themselves?
Nope.
I'm Rachel, Police Exams Administrator, Fair and Police Exam Unit.
Thank you, Rachel. So the next thing, let's see. With respect to people that are appearing virtually, there are a couple of guidelines we'd like you to follow. First of all, if one person could speak at a time, and if you're not speaking, if you could mute yourself so don't have any feedback. And if you'd like to, we'd very much like you to state your name before you talk, so the record is clear about who's saying what. So the next item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone who would like to give public comment?
Can I wait just a little bit? I'd like to hear Mr. Swander's portion. Awesome. I'd like to wait on that if that's possible.
His presentation is part of the agenda today, so public comment is now.
Good morning. My name is Andrew Pittman. So thank you, Hannah. I just got your email. I appreciate the reply. And I guess my time's already started, so I'll try to be quick, but I did not get a reply from this commission about some of the items that I like to have addressed in my letter last week. Yes, I did get a notification that I am being returned to the register of firefighter. So that seems like great news and seems like maybe a opportunity to not reply, but I very clearly asked for a reply, and it doesn't address the issues. One of which is a new issue that since I'm being returned to the list of firefighter, I brought it to this commission a little over a year ago that I was on a list for lieutenant. So tested, placed on the register, and asked this commission to address that in the rule change. It's not a big ask, it's my entire life that is being affected by it. And so now I'm on a lower ranking register. So again, I would like you guys to keep digging in and doing homework and seeing if that's something that if we ever end up down this path again, that somebody else doesn't have to suffer in the same fact that I have. And then also one of the questions that I was hoping to get addressed, and let me sidetrack. This is the only avenue that I have been able to have any discussion or lack thereof, but any avenue to voice my opinion at the time that I've been hired. So thank you for allowing us to come in. I know I'm a pain in the neck, but my whole life has been uprooted. So thank you for your patience and diligence doing this work to get us to where we are today. It's not lost on me how muddy the water is. But again, this is the only place that I've publicly been able to be shown the respect I feel I'm due and have some attention paid to the matters. So there's been a number of appeals that came in the last week or two, and my concern is that we don't have anywhere in writing that those members, although they have met the deadline, if they are denied the opportunity to be placed on the respective registers, that they won't get a timely appeal. And so we're just looking for answers to that question. It seems pretty common sense, but nothing has really followed that logic to this point. So
Thank you, Mr. Anyone else would like to give public comment? I see a hand. Yes, sir.
Oh, my name's Doug Johnson. I'm a captain with Seattle Fire Department. Public comment. What's our guidelines here with this?
Well, you generally what we like the public comment to be about is about items on our agenda, and I think the time limit is what, 2 minutes? 2 minutes? 2 minutes. So.
Okay, I looked at the agenda. Didn't look like there was much on there. Okay, so what Andy just spoke is going to be on the agenda.
No, I think if you're not on the agenda or your item's not on the agenda, Captain Johnson, I would suggest you just go ahead and still speak directly to the commission.
Okay, so talk about anything in my time's 2 minutes and it starts now, or you already started it?
Oh, we'll start it now. Go ahead.
Thank you. 2 items. I just tested. Well, first of all, thank you, Pittman, for your what your words, and it really resonates with me. The lack of response from civil service, albeit Yoshiko, David Wright, or Andrea Shealy, and how slow they are if they ever respond at all, and just having emails ignored. I've had that very similar experience lately. The nexus for that is I just tested for battalion chief, and there's 2 major issues, which I'm sure is going to be very slow to respond to or not responded to at all. The bibliography is supposed to be online, and it was not online. They put the register for battalion chief on there instead. So if you're trying to study for the oral board, you were not able to get any of the material, specifically the outline for battalion chief. So I'll say it again, the outline for battalion chief, I don't think you can find it anywhere else in the city or in the Seattle Fire Department, which is where they get, it's self-explanatory, the outline for battalion chief and what can be tested on. This was approximately 2 weeks before the oral board. What is the policy or the PSCSC CCSS rule for not having available bibliography to the candidates? Second, I don't expect an answer from that. Second, accommodations can only be or must be viewed by the military or ADA. We were pretty much ignored. Andrea, I was waiting for an email from you, which you ignored the email till time expired. And my issue is with the equity work I do, I get PDR'd a lot, and I'm not putting my family information on a city website. There was no other option given to me or even discussed, including from Andrea Shealy, who would just basically ignored me. I do not know why. However, another person was given accommodation to take the test, the written test, the second day, and he didn't put anything in writing. Nothing was put in writing. So there is a discrepancy on when you can actually give accommodations and when you can't give accommodations. Once again, once somebody was able to come to the test late, very late because no one else was there, and they were accommodated to take the exam, myself and another person were stalled out and eventually ignored on trying to get an accommodation. Thank you for giving me the time.
So thank you, Mr. Johnson. Is there anyone else who would like to give public comment? Okay, doesn't really look like it. All right, so we'll move on. The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. And I've looked at the minutes of the last reading, which was on April 24th. They seem accurate to me, so I would move that we adopt or approve the minutes of the April 24th meeting.
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion? So, all right, all in favor say aye. Aye. All right, so those are approved. The next item on the agenda is let's see, exam protest reviews. I don't think there are.
Might be looking at the minutes.
Oh, sorry, I am looking. So the next item on the agenda is discussion of the executive director's budget and departmental updates. I think we'd first like to hear from Dr. Swander about the police department entry level test that we use.
Yes, thank you. Well, I'll introduce Dr. Carl Swander. He is the owner of NTN and Ergometrics, which are sister companies that develop and administrate the tests that City of Seattle currently uses for police officer and firefighter. But he's here to talk today about the police officer exam and NTN services. And he does have a presentation. Grace will get it up.
When you're ready to move to the next slide.
Okay. Well, first, thanks everybody for having me here today. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. And I have a presentation. I'll run through it, but happy to stop, answer questions anytime during the presentation. It's really as an opportunity for me to get the information out to you all and make sure that I've answered your questions. So that's the goal today, and whatever format that takes is perfectly fine. There's a lot of content in terms of what we really do, so this is a pretty high level overview. Again, you can dig into any of it from depth if you'd like. So go ahead and go on to the next slide. So just I won't bore you too much with the company overview, but we have been involved in the public safety selection environment for more than 40 years. And we were founded in '81, which we basically were a simulation test development company. And back in those days, you developed tests and you would lease them or rent them to organizations to use and run their own administration. Since then, National Testing Network has evolved out of that to help support that administration effort. And there's a variety of reasons that I'll talk about today. Some of those. And so in total, this whole time, we've been specializing in public safety, in selection, test development. We do this whole range of different services from the tests, the backgrounds, the psychologicals, all the way up through promotions to chief level assessment types of things. So heavily focused on that. I myself have been working in this industry for 30 years. I have a PhD in industrial organizational psychology, and my background is tests. And so that's what my PhD, my dissertation was all based on simulation tests. All my work has been related to simulation tests. So tried and true testing person that is really invested in the public safety space. So I want to talk about that a lot because it's really important. Again, we are a national company. I'll kind of run you through some of our clients, but we work with a lot of the major metros across the country in implementing the tests and the administration side. So we can go on to the next. So again, testing is the fun. We have all this administration, we've got the whole process, but at the core of it all is testing. And the entrance test serves many purposes. It's your first kind of hurdle that you're going to have with your candidates, right? It's the first, you're going to give it to the most people in the process, more than you give background, more than you do safety principles. So it has a big responsibility in that point of the process. Our goal with that is to, in terms of getting all those people in there, is to try and get the most well-rounded candidate that we can. We want to measure as many things as we possibly can in order to assess the fit of that candidate for your organization. So if you kind of look at the matrix there that we've got on the left side, you're looking at police officer skills, heavy focus on human interaction. It's a very large component within law enforcement. Day in and day out, human interaction, dealing with people in stressful situations, tough situations, people having a bad day, all of these things, it happens all the time. So these are really important, but you also have to have other things. You have to be able to write, you have to be able to read, and then we've got some more core fundamental things like integrity, bias, and more very specific targeted things. So at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is move a person forward that has the best probability of being successful on the job. that's how we develop the test. That's why we put all the time and effort into it. That's why we do all the validation, because ultimately we want to predict job performance. We want the people that do well on this test to do well on the job, and that's how we develop it. Comprehensive approach. Make sure we measure a lot of things. So how do we do it? How do we develop and validate these tests? The kind of core fundamental here is we're going to look at what the job is, and then we're going to try and develop a test that kind of simulates that job. And that's why we use video, because it's a simulation of the job. It gives people a realistic expectation of what that job is, but it also puts them in realistic emotional stimuli that actually create a response from that candidate that's more realistic to what the job is. And so the development process for us is long. It takes years, 2 to 3 years in order to develop the test. We work in depth with the participating organizations. Seattle happened to be one of those organizations where we have dozens and dozens and dozens of meetings with subject matter experts within those organizations in order to pull out all of the important content of that job. So we go to a ton of effort to actually build the test. And throughout this effort, what we're actually establishing is, we're developing the test, but we're actually establishing what's called content validity. And content validity is basically a matching of all the job knowledge, skills, and abilities to the test. Okay, the test is measuring all of these things. That's an integrated development process for us, as we spend probably about a year doing that, and creating this profile of what the job is and what the test is going to measure and how it interacts with that. Once we develop the test, the main thing we want to do is prove that it works, right? So yes, most tests they do what they call content validity. They match it up. But the second step for us is to do criterion validation. So criterion validation.
So sorry, I have to pause the meeting. The link that was posted on the website is different than the link of the meeting that we're in right now. There you are. Also,
I tried to sign in, but
okay, so we need to switch this meeting over to one that was publicly posted so that we can comply with the Open Public Meetings Act.
Okay.
But also so we can catch any members of the public who are trying to attend. So very sorry. Let's tell the folks on the call if they didn't hear me say that. And let's post the link. Sorry, Carl, very sorry. Let's post the link that is publicly posted in the chat here. So anyone who tries to join here can get to the meeting where we're actually having. Does that make sense, Teresa?
Yeah.
This is my computer. Erica's on my. All right. Apologies, everybody. When you were joining that meeting, Tim, did you see anyone other than Erica who tried to join?
no.
Okay. Did you join right at
About 3 minutes after.
Thank you.
So the agenda that is on the website is not correct, or it is the correct one?
Well, the one on the website has to be the correct one. So that's the one we've been able to look up. So that's the one we're going to switch over to. Okay. Did the folks on the meeting understand what's happening?
Explain it.
We're muted.
No, we're not.
Hannah, Doug, Adelaide, and Rachel. We're gonna post this link in the chat. Please, if you want to continue attending this meeting, switch over to that meeting. And I'm gonna actually go email the holder of the invitation, the new